that point?
Yes, of course.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way on that point. It's possibly worth noting that the honourable member for Clacton attended only one Fishery Committee meetings in the European Parliament out of the potential 42 which he could have attended, thereby never speaking up for British interests, which is potentially why the Common Fisheries Policy wasn't to our benefit.
I thank my honourable friend. What we have advocated for around all of these areas is a new relationship with Europe, which would involve a new discussion around fishing. It doesn't involve, unlike the Conservatives apparently cannot cope with the idea that we can actually move forward in the world and have a different arrangement. We don't have to go back to what we had before. And the Liberal Democrats have a very clear four-step roadmap to rebuild our European relationships in a moment. First, the fundamental reset, rebuilding trust trashed by years of Conservative recklessness. And I do acknowledge here the positive work ministers have absolutely done in this regard. Second, rejoining crucial European agencies that directly benefit British people, like Erasmus+, the European Aviation Safety Agency and Horizon Europe, which, Madam Deputy Speaker, back in 2023, the Conservatives agreed to pay over £2 billion a year to rejoin due to the enormous harm that leaving that programme had done to our critical research and innovation sector. They even recognised the necessity of such programmes. To turn around now and in this motion demand that the government rule out paying for access to other schemes that could benefit the UK is the very height of hypocrisy. Third, negotiating practical arrangements to slash red tape, culminating in a UK-EU customs union by 2030 that gives British businesses the oxygen they so desperately need. And finally, as trust rebuilds, pursuing single market membership, unlocking maximum prosperity for businesses and maximum opportunity for future generations.
Will the member give way?
I thank the honourable member for giving way and thank him and welcome the comments he made about the Common Fisheries Policy. Will he join these benches and go one further and urge the government not to give up any sovereign fishing rights that the UK currently benefits from in order to give away fishing to France for other seen-to-be benefits from a wider deal? Can he be strong? Can he urge the government, like these benches are, on fishing?
And I can promise you I will never join those benches and can rule that out definitively. But absolutely, I mean, I think that what we're seeing here, what we should not be doing is, as has been, I have to say, slightly hysterically speculated in a lot of the right-wing press, trade away fishing rights for a defence deal, for instance. That is something that Liberal Democrats have been very clear about, and we continue to be clear about now.
Will the member give
of
way?
course.
The member, thank you. The member is making some excellent points, and to his credit, he set out those four clear points, which is more than the government or the main opposition party have done. But I heard members across this House talk previously of a democracy fails to be a democracy if people do not have the ability to change their mind. Does he rule out ever rejoining the EU?
My thanks to the honourable member for Arbroath for that point. It is impossible to rule out anything in the future. I mean, if you had asked me 20 years ago if I would ever have considered it possible we would leave the EU, I would have said I thought that was extremely unlikely. So who knows what will happen in the future? We may have a very different government of a different complexion one day that chooses to take those steps. But right now, that is clearly not something we're talking about. Of course, on the other side of things, the EU must show flexibility too. Britain is no ordinary third country. We're a major economy and an indispensable partner on defence, security and trade. The EU must make space for bespoke, pragmatic arrangements. Alongside this, the government must immediately introduce a youth mobility scheme. Our young people deserve the same European opportunities previous generations, many represented on these benches, enjoyed themselves. The Tories obstinately refuse this common-sense approach, and Labour has so far flip-flopped on the issue. We have existing schemes with Australia, Japan, New Zealand and Canada, but not with our nearest neighbours. Our young people don't deserve this short-sightedness. They deserve access to opportunities across Europe. Madam Deputy Speaker, as global threats multiply, Putin's brutality in Ukraine, Trump's economic recklessness, Britain's security demands strong European partnerships. A comprehensive UK-EU defence pact isn't just desirable, it's essential for our national security. We are no longer part of Europol, meaning we've lost access to crucial intelligence sharing and vital databases that help track criminals and terrorists across borders. That's not taking back control. That's making British people feel less safe and less secure. And to those who claim that a UK-EU defence cooperation would somehow weaken NATO, let's be clear, it would do exactly the opposite. Greater mobility for personnel across Europe strengthens NATO's ability to deploy forces, particularly in the east. Access to EU procurement mechanisms allows us to purchase more equipment more efficiently and boosts British defence firms. Madam Deputy Speaker, stronger cooperation on European defence not only bolsters the alliance, but also improves our shared operational effectiveness. The Conservatives are undermining British security and spreading scaremongering by suggesting otherwise. With Trump in the White House, the world has been plunged into a trade war. Britain's exports to the EU reached £356 billion last year. That's 42% of everything we sell to the world. Imagine how much higher that would be and how much more money the British people would have in their pockets had the Conservatives' disastrous deal not shrunk our economy by 4%. By contrast...
Thank my honourable friend for giving way. In my constituency of Bicester and Woodstock, many workers at the Cowley mini plant tell me they're worried about the future of the plant. And one of the principal reasons they're worried is that the Conservatives' botched Brexit deal has introduced so much red tape that the just-in-time delivery of component parts across the European network that BMW operate is threatening the plant. So will my honourable friend agree that this is just one example of the ways in which this particular Brexit deal does damage to our economy rather than supporting our core industries?
I thank my honourable friend for his intervention and sticking up for his local businesses, as he always does. And absolutely, the effect on supply chains in particular has been an element that is not always obvious, but has been detrimental to many, particularly larger and complicated businesses. Not at the moment. By contrast, the much-vaunted trade deal signed with India last week is worth just a fraction of our former deal with the European Union, around 20 times smaller than the economic boost we'd gain simply by aligning with the EU on goods and services.
On that point, thank you.
Of course.
The whole House will have noted he clearly failed to rule out a second referendum because he didn't much like the result of the first one. But can I ask him directly, like the government, as is obvious from their evasion this afternoon, are the Liberal Democrats prepared to accept a process of dynamic alignment where we effectively become a passive rule taker from the European Union? Yes or no?
You actually made two points there, one at a time. The first one was about, you mentioned a second referendum. I find this fascinating contention. Elections happen every 4 years. In the last election, we returned a Labour government. By this argument that there was a referendum in 2016 which must be in perpetuity what the British people do, no matter what the British people think of it, suggests to me that everybody should join the Labour Party, should they not? Because now we have a Labour government in perpetuity too. And perhaps honourable members on this side might want to give some consideration to that. The second point was you used this term rule taker, was it? Yes. Okay, I find this also a fascinating thing, and it was something that was quite noticeable from the Conservative negotiations on Brexit, was this, how enthralled they became to the philosophy of cakeism. And how it became the mantra of the Conservative Party that you could absolutely have your cake and eat it, and that modern trade deals apparently don't require any give and take. The recent India trade deal, which has been so trumpeted by members on that side, and of course was started by members on this side, does involve the UK having to take some things as well. That is what a trade deal looks like. And it certainly looks like that when you're talking with the largest trading bloc on the planet. The key question you should be asking, the honourable member should be asking here, is not that. Is what benefit would it bring to British people? That ultimately is the job of any government and any politician. What will benefit us?
Yes.
I'm pleased you agree with yourself. So, by contrast, my honourable, if I might resume, my honourable friend, the member for Honiton and Sidmouth, tells me of an engineering firm in his constituency that now, due to the mountains of Brexit red tape, finds it far easier to trade with South Korea than with Europe. This is not just damaging, it's frankly absurd. Yet the thing the government won't do, the one thing is guaranteed to deliver growth, is negotiate a bespoke customs union with the EU. Yet they are hiking national insurance for businesses, stifling investment and refusing to support the most vulnerable in our society by not scrapping the two-child benefit cap or safeguarding PIP payments. If I might